Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video is going to show the fastest rear-wheel drive cars in terms of lap time as of the Arena War update. As always, the position counter is in the top left with the best lap time the vehicle achieved in the top right. And if you're interested in the performance of all vehicles in the game, check the playlist link in the description or the pinned comment alongside the top speed testing series. If you want to know more information about this testing, including the extent to which it's accurate and how useful it is for you personally, have a read of the full description as everything that you need is in there. And for the performance of any future vehicle editions, feel free to subscribe for new testing videos every Thursday and check out my Patreon or become a YouTube member if you'd like to support me and get these testing results early. So we saw a few weeks ago the all-wheel drive version of this video going over the 10 quickest cars in the game that are powered by all four wheels to varying degrees. The vehicles in this list are only powered by the rear wheels. They are rear wheel drive. The front wheels are only used for turning the car. The rear wheels are entirely used for driving the car along. But in general, in terms of the lap times that we're seeing in this top 10 versus the top 10 from the all-wheel drive list, they're about the same. And when you look at the position that the cars are in the relative classes, in the supercars class in the top left for example, you pretty much notice that they're missing a gap every single time because there's some all-wheel drive vehicles mixed in there with the rear-wheel drive vehicles, and in general they're all intermixed with each other to the point where it's just generally in most cases they're down to a driver preference of how the car is and what you prefer, whether you want the all-wheel drive experience or rear-wheel drive experience, as to which car you go for, because in terms of overall pace they're about the same. That is until we get to the top of the list, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now obviously, as I mentioned in the all-wheel drive video, this is accurate up until the Arena War DLC because we haven't had any other DLC up to this point, but it does give us the lay of the land before maybe any future DLCs come, change things around when it comes to advanced handling flags, or perhaps mess things up or add new vehicles that are going to be that would have featured in these lists. Also, we've got the Pariah here, which is the first one to break that 1 minute 1 second barrier, and it is our quickest sports car in the game that is rear wheel drive. So similar to how we had the Italy GTO in the previous video, the all-wheel drive video, there is one interloper in this video that isn't in the supercars class, whereas other car, if we just apart from that one interloper at each video from the sports class, this would pretty much be a list of all supercars. Now the top four are kind of in a league of their own, but even when we get to the top three it goes even further than that, and the Devastate is relatively impressive for being a car that has advanced handling flags, but we'll see if that changes if they do anything with the advanced handling flags, and maybe it will go even quicker in a future update, and I'll obviously let you know about that. Now, one thing to point out that you might have already noticed is that this doesn't include any vehicles that utilize any kind of boost. So the Vigilante, the Scramjet, the Rocket Voltic, and a lot of other vehicles that can use boosts, like the Arena War vehicles that get access to nitrous boosts, the vast majority of those are rear-wheel drive vehicles. So the all-wheel drive video would be exactly the same, but if I were to include those cars, then they would obviously be featuring in this rear-wheel drive vehicle list. So that's something to keep in mind, that as we're looking at this top three, this is only focusing on raceable vehicles that you can use in regular races, normal cars if you will. The Vigilante, the Scramjet, the Rocket Voltic, they would all be in basically the top four positions of this list, apart from our number one vehicle, which would be in between them. And I decided not to include them for this video, just to give us a general idea of sort of more normal vehicles. So second place is the RE7B. Obviously we saw the Autark, and then we've got the RE7B. Kind of we're into the big boys, if you like, when it comes to really high downforce vehicles. They can take corners quicker than anything else. There's only 4 vehicles in the entire game that get, at least 4 cars in the entire game that don't have rockets on the back of them, that get under the 1 minute lap time barrier, and 3 of them are rear wheel drive vehicles that we're seeing in this list. The most notable of which is obviously the Wagner, the absolute hands down number one quickest supercar in the game. When you take out rocket powered vehicles, when you're only focusing on what you can race, obviously it's third place overall because we've got the Vigilante and the Scramjet that are quicker than it, but they have rockets on them. So 59 seconds, there's not much more I can really say about the Wagner that hasn't already been said over the years. It's just, it dominates, and I think being rear wheel drive kind of helps it with that as well. The thing that you get with all-wheel drive vehicles is that they are more, they're generally better in terms of acceleration out of slow speed corners, but they tend to have a little bit of understeer because the front wheels are being used to power the car as well as turn it. Whereas rear wheel drive cars tend to be a little bit better balanced overall when you're talking about cornering and applying the throttle mid corner and things like that. So it's not really a surprise that most of the absolute quickest vehicles are rear wheel drive. But yeah, there's a good mix between rear wheel drive and all wheel drive. Rear wheel drive is by far the most common drivetrain when it comes to GTA. The vast majority of vehicles in GTA are rear wheel drive, with all wheel drive being not too distant of a second place, but certainly not as close as, being equal, and then front wheel drive being very, very far down the order. There's not many front wheel drive cars overall in GTA. Now, this comparison here, like I did with the all wheel drive video, I just wanted to put in a comparison between the Wagner, which is the #1 quickest rear wheel drive supercar, and the Pariah, which is the #1 quickest rear wheel drive sports car. And yeah, there's about a second and a half, just over a second and a half difference between them, and it's mainly down to the Wagner's incredible traction around the corners. The Pariah obviously has a beat for top speed, and we will be seeing the top speed version of this video this time next week. We'll go through the 10 quickest rear wheel drive vehicles in terms of top speed. Obviously this has been in terms of lap time, but yeah, it's interesting to give a comparison there between the top vehicles in two different classes. But that's pretty much it for this video. Remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, subscribe for more, and consider supporting on Patreon or becoming a member on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.